What if I told you the secret to a wildly successful garden isn't just planting, but how you move your plants? There's a hidden world of bare root transplanting techniques that can make or break your harvest. Get ready to uncover the crucial steps and surprising pitfalls that will ensure your plants not only survive, but thrive, from the moment they hit the soil. Fellow gardeners, I've watched too many of you unwrap those beautiful bare root plants with excitement, only to see them struggle or die within weeks. The heartbreak is real, and it's completely avoidable. Today, we're diving deep into the art and science of bare root transplanting, because mastering this skill will transform your gardening success rate from hit or miss to consistently spectacular. Bare root basics, your plant's fresh start. Understanding why bare root plants are such incredible value starts with grasping the concept of dormancy. When plants enter their dormant phase, typically in late fall through early spring, they're essentially sleeping. Their energy is stored in the roots and stems, not actively flowing through leaves and new growth. This dormant state makes bare root plants incredibly resilient to transplant shock and allows nurseries to ship them without soil, dramatically reducing costs while maintaining plant health. The moment your bare root plants arrive is critical. These plants have been out of soil for days or weeks, and their roots have likely dried out somewhat during transit. Your first mission is immediate rehydration, but not in the way most people think. Resist the urge to soak them in water for hours. Instead, unwrap them carefully and examine the packaging material. If the roots feel completely dry and brittle, a brief 30-minute soak in lukewarm water can help, but anything longer risks root rot. The real secret lies in proper root assessment. Healthy bare roots should feel firm and pliable, with a light color ranging from cream to light brown. Dark, mushy, or brittle roots need immediate attention. Don't panic if you find some damaged roots. This is normal. The key is knowing what to keep and what to prune. Any root that bends and snaps rather than flexing, or any root with a distinctly foul smell, needs to be removed with clean, sharp pruning shears. Make clean cuts just above where the healthy root tissue begins, creating fresh wounds that will callus and generate new growth. Prepping for success means finding the perfect potting mix and digging the right hole. Creating the ideal growing environment for bare root plants requires understanding their unique needs during the establishment phase. Unlike container plants that come with their existing soil ecosystem, bare roots need a growing medium that strikes the perfect balance between drainage and moisture retention. Your standard garden soil, no matter how rich, likely isn't enough on its own. The perfect bare root soil blend combines 1/3 quality compost, 1/3 existing garden soil, and 1/3 drainage material like perlite or coarse sand. This combination provides immediate nutrition from the compost, familiar soil biology from your garden earth, and crucial drainage to prevent the waterlogged conditions that spell death for establishing roots. If you're working with heavy clay soil, increase the drainage component to half the mixture. Sandy soil gardeners should boost the compost ratio to help with moisture retention. Digging the proper hole is where, honestly, a lot of gardeners make their first critical mistake. The hole should be twice as wide as the root spread, but only as deep as the original soil line on the plant's stem. You'll often notice there's a subtle color change on the stem that shows where the soil level was in the nursery. Planting too deep suffocates roots and prevents proper gas exchange, while planting too shallow exposes roots to temperature swings and drying out. Also, the hole's base should be firm, not loosened, to prevent settling that could accidentally bury your plant deeper than you meant. Soil amendments can really make or break your bare root success, but, timing and selection matter enormously. Mycorrhizal fungi inoculant, when applied directly to roots during planting, creates beneficial partnerships that dramatically improve nutrient and water uptake. However, avoid high nitrogen fertilizers at planting time. They encourage top growth before roots are established, creating plants that just can't support themselves. Instead, focus on phosphorus-rich amendments like bone meal, which supports root development without pushing premature leaf growth. The transplant tango, gentle placement and initial care. The actual transplanting process, well, it requires patience and attention to detail. That's what separates successful gardeners from frustrated ones. Begin by creating a small mound of your prepared soil mixture right in the center of the hole. This mound should support the crown of the plant at the proper depth, while allowing roots to spread naturally downward and outward. Root positioning is honestly an art form that dramatically impacts long-term plant health. You'll want to gently spread the roots over your soil mound, making sure none are circling, kinked, or folded back on themselves. Roots that circle will just keep doing that as they grow, eventually girdling and strangling the plant. If roots are too long for your hole, it's honestly better to enlarge the hole than to stuff those roots into too small a space. Some gentle untangling with your fingers, or even a chopstick, can really help separate roots that are tangled together. But, work slowly to avoid breaking any healthy root tissue. Backfilling requires a delicate touch that eliminates air pockets without compacting the soil. So, add your soil mixture in small amounts, working it gently around the roots with your fingers instead of using tools that might damage those delicate root hairs. Water lightly as you backfill, not enough to create mud, but just enough to help the soil settle naturally around the roots. The goal is intimate contact between roots and soil, without creating a concrete-like environment that would prevent future root expansion. The critical first watering really sets the stage for recovery and establishment. Deep, thorough watering immediately after planting helps eliminate any remaining air pockets and provides the moisture needed for roots to start growing into their new environment. However, the amount and frequency of subsequent watering will determine success or failure. Post-transplant shock is inevitable. Plants will look stressed, leaves may droop or yellow, and growth will stall for a bit. But this is normal and expected, not a sign of failure. Beyond the basics, there are some advanced techniques and honestly, a few common pitfalls to watch out for. Strategic root pruning before planting might seem a bit counterintuitive, but it's actually one of the most powerful techniques for ensuring your plants establish vigorously. When you prune damaged roots, also consider lightly trimming the healthy root tips. This kind of pruning stimulates the development of feeder roots, those fine, hair-like roots that are responsible for most of the nutrient and water uptake. A light trim of about 1/4 inch from healthy root tips encourages branching and creates a more robust root system. Hardening off bare root plants is crucial, but it's often overlooked. Even dormant plants can experience shock when they're moved from controlled storage conditions to your garden's variable environment. If your plants show any signs of breaking dormancy like swelling buds or emerging leaves, they really need gradual acclimation. Start by placing them in a sheltered location with morning sun and afternoon shade for several days before moving them to their permanent location. The most common mistakes I see, honestly, over and over again, are overwatering, planting too deep, and neglecting immediate support structures. Overwatering actually kills more bare root plants than drought because waterlogged soil prevents root respiration and encourages rot. The soil should be consistently moist, but never soggy. You can test this by inserting your finger about 2 inches into the soil. If it's wet at that depth, just wait to water. Planting too deep, even by just an inch, can prevent plants from thriving for years. And of course, failing to provide support for top-heavy plants like fruit trees results in root damage from wind movement before they really get established. Thriving to bountiful, that's really the goal when it comes to long-term care and looking ahead to future harvests. Establishing a proper watering schedule during the first growing season, well, it really requires understanding your plant's changing needs. Newly transplanted bare root plants, they need consistent moisture for the first 6 to 8 weeks as those new roots develop. It's best to water deeply but less frequently, rather than doing frequent shallow watering, which can actually encourage surface roots that are a lot more vulnerable to drought and temperature extremes. And adding a layer of organic mulch around your plants helps maintain consistent soil moisture, plus it suppresses weeds that would otherwise compete for nutrients. Nutrition during establishment, honestly, should focus on supporting root development rather than trying to push for vigorous top growth right away. It's a good idea to hold off on nitrogen-heavy fertilizers for the first month so your plants can focus their energy on root establishment. After about 6 weeks, a balanced, slow-release fertilizer applied according to the package directions will support steady growth without overwhelming those developing root systems. And if you're looking for organic options, things like compost tea or fish emulsion provide gentle nutrition that won't burn those sensitive new roots. Protecting your investment means, staying vigilant for pest and disease issues while avoiding treatments that might stress establishing plants. Beneficial insects often need a little time to discover and colonize new plantings, so some pest pressure at first is pretty normal. Focus on cultural controls like proper spacing for air circulation, avoiding overhead watering that can promote fungal diseases, and removing any dead or diseased plant material as soon as you spot it. Strong, well-established plants just naturally resist a whole lot of pest and disease problems better than stressed, struggling specimens. Remember, successful bare root transplanting is really a skill that improves with practice. Each plant teaches you something new about reading root health, soil conditions, and, environmental factors. Start with easier species like fruit trees and berry bushes before you tackle more challenging perennials, and don't be discouraged by occasional losses. Even experienced gardeners lose plants sometimes. The satisfaction of watching a bare root plant transform from what looks like a lifeless collection of roots into a thriving, productive garden specimen is honestly one of gardening's greatest rewards. Master these techniques, avoid those common pitfalls, and you'll find bare root plants become one of your most valuable tools for creating an abundant, beautiful garden. If this guide helped transform your understanding of bare root transplanting, make sure to subscribe to Smart Garden for more in-depth gardening techniques that actually work. Share this with fellow gardeners who are ready to stop killing their plants and start growing with confidence. Your garden and your plants will thank you for it.